भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो ह्यभद्राणि विघ्नोति सुहृत्सतां नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Thank you all for joining. We are in the Srimad Bhagavatam daily recitation service, which is we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are in first canto, 4th chapter, 20th verse. Correct? Or is it 19 or 20th here? So we'll cover the 20th to 23 verses. They don't have purports or maybe a small ones. So we'll cover 4 verses today. So I will share my screen and we can all read together.
Yes, sir. That's what we want to know.
Can you all see my screen?
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, we'll get started. Rig Yaju Samatarvakya Vedas Chatvara Udrutaha Itihasa Puranam Cha Panchamo Veda Uchyate. Anyone wants to read?
The 4 divisions of the original sources of knowledge, the Vedas, were made separately, but the historical facts and authentic stories mentioned in the Puranas are called the 5th Veda. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. 21. Tatra Rigveda Darah Pailaha Samago Jaimini Kavihi Vaishampayana Evaiko Nishnato Yajusham Uta. Translation, anyone?
Were divided into 4 divisions. Paila Rishi became the professor of the Rigveda, Jaimini the professor of the Samaveda, the Vaishampayana alone became glorified by the Yajurveda.
Put by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The different Vedas were entrusted to different learned scholars for development in various ways. The next verse. Atarvangrisham Asit Sumantur Dharano Munihi Itihasa Purananam Pitame Roma Harshanaha. Translation, anyone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Translation will be Swami Prabhupada. The Sumanta Muni Angira, who was very devotedly engaged, was entered with the Atharvaveda and my father Ramaharsha was entered with the Purana and historical records.
Jai, thank you, Guruji. In the Shrutis mantras also it is stated that Angira Muni, who strictly followed the rigid principles of Atharva Veda, was the leader of the followers of the Atharva Veda. And today's last verse is number 23. Tayeta Rushayo Vedam. We can all repeat this one. Tayeta Rushayo Vedam.
Tayeto Rashayo Vedam
Swam Swam Vyasyan Anekada.
Swam Swam Vishasyan Aniketa
Sishyai Prashishyaistachishyai
Shishyai Tashistash Tashishair
Vedaste Shakino Abavan.
Vedaste Sakino Abavan.
Anyone else wants to try?
Tayeta Rishiyo Vedam
Tayeta Rashayo Vedam
swam swam vyasyan anekadha
Swam swam vyasyan anekada.
Kata.
शिष्यै प्रशिष्यस्तच शिष्यैर्
Shishyai prashishyai stachishyai
वेदास्ते शाकिनो अभवान्
Vedaste
Vedaste Sakino
Shakino.
Abhavan.
Anyone else? Okay. So the translation and purport: all these learned scholars in their turn rendered their entrusted Vedas onto their many disciples, grand disciples, and great grand disciples, and thus the respective branches of the followers of the Vedas came into being. The original source of knowledge is the Vedas. There are no branches of knowledge, either mundane or transcendental, which do not belong to the original texts of the Vedas. They have simply been developed into different branches. They were originally rendered by great, respectable, and learned professors. In other words, the Vedic knowledge, broken into different branches by different disciplic successions, has been distributed all over the world. No one, therefore, can claim independent knowledge beyond the Vedas. Say the Mangalachan prayers and we'll get started. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Chakshuronmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshatharini Vanchakalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhobhya Eva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavranda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So what we have been reading or studying, we are discussing about the appearance of Narada Muni, and Suta Goswami, he is Saunikada Munis, they were asking, and Suta Goswami is answering, and he is telling that he's giving all the previous history on what happened. First we saw that how the sages were asking that Sukadeva Goswami, he is like a monoist, how he became a devotee, and he doesn't speak to anyone. He is completely absorbed, and he appears like a madman, like going here and there, wanderer. And how he was able to reach to the location where Parikshit Maharaj was, and how he was able to everyone understood that he is the one who is the main person who can give the knowledge, and all this happened. And then they also start to glorify about Parikshit Maharaj's great qualities, how he was a ideal king. He took care of all his responsibilities, and when the time came, he renounced everything, and how he established dharma when during his ruin. And then now they are also now discussing about the history of why Vyasadeva wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it starts off with how the Vedas itself started. We know from what the Suta Goswami is saying here, or even the Munis are glorifying, that the Vedas was originally all transmitted orally. Orally and orally means like the spiritual master used to speak, and all the disciples in the previous yugas, they were all ekasantagrahis, means they will listen once and they will be able to recollect easily right away. So and then when they hear those mantras, they will immediately remember them and keep practicing them. And that's how this knowledge was kept on propagating. But when Vyasadeva was meditating, he could see that how um, this age that is followed by Dwapara Yuga, even though it came as third this time, followed by Kali Yuga, that the knowledge of this Vedas, the people will be Mandabuddhi, Mandavagi, means they will not be able to recollect so easily, and then they don't live for long. So then he said, oh, this Vedas has to be written, because if you write something, you can always refer back, correct? If somebody told us something and they left, and if we don't have proper memory, we might there is communication gap. You might have seen some videos where one person tries to show one gesture. After 10 people it's passed through, it completely turns out to a different gesture. So right now, that is the situation of the humanity, where we cannot keep in memory anything. So that's why Vyasadeva said, no, these people, in order to get benefit from the Vedic knowledge, they should be able to go and refer back. And so Vyasadeva, he converted, or it's not converted, but he distributed that Vedic knowledge, that one Veda, into 4 Vedas, which are the Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharva. And now we are seeing that how he entrusted each of his disciples to um, be the caretakers of each of the Vedas. And so we have seen that the first original source of knowledge was they made separately. But then there is also the 5th Veda. What are those? It's called the Puranas and the Itihasas. They are the facts and authentic historical records of those. So we will see those. And then who are the scholars who are interested with each of the Vedas? For the I just took my notes. Yeah, so Paila Rishi was the custodian of the Rig Veda, and Jaimini was the custodian of the Samaveda, and Vaishampayana was the caretaker of the Yajur Veda. And who is the caretaker of the Atharva Veda? Angira Rishi, right? Angira Rishi is also called Sumantu Rishi. And finally, the 5th Veda, which are the Itihasas and the Puranas. Who was entrusted with them? Roma Harshana. Anyone remembers who Roma Harshana is?
He's the father of Sutta Goswami.
He is the father of Suta Goswami. And we all know the story, right? How maybe that will come later in this, but when Roma Harshana was killed by Balarama, then he established Suta Goswami as the next person who is in charge of all this transmission of the Vedic knowledge. And now that's how we are hearing from Suta Goswami as the leader of all the or the one of the who is the one who is disseminating all this knowledge to the sages of Naimisharanya. And what else is the last one? So yeah, what Srila Prabhupada is saying is, there is no knowledge in this world, that is whether it is spiritual or material, that is outside of the Vedas. Everything we'll find in the Vedas, because Vedas has so much knowledge. It also has information about the different rituals. It also has information about the law, like the different rules and regulations. And Atharva means like it also has the warfare, how to perform warfare. But only thing is, this knowledge is not properly transmitted, because as we can see in this age, people are not being able to carry that information forward. That's why we have to keep referring to the books. And if it is books, there are so many books that are lost also. The information that we have is also not complete. And that's why now we'll see the significance of Puranas. Why Puranas is very, very important in terms of the Vedic knowledge. Because what does the Puranas do? They are the historical records. Where is it written? Yeah. So, and each of the Vedas that were the custodians of the Vedas are also the disciples of Vyasadeva. And they then disseminated that knowledge to their disciples, their granddisciples, and great granddisciples. And that's how this Vedic knowledge was getting transmitted. And in this transmission, sometimes it's lost, and that's why we see some of the Vedic information that is missing. Then how can we take benefit of this Vedic knowledge? That's why we come into the Puranas, where the Puranas are the historical records that contain what do they contain? They contain the details about all the previous yugas. They contain the details of all the different kings that were there, that led the life in their righteous manner. And then they also contain details about all the benefits that we can get by following the ritual principles and the different orders in the society, the Varnashram Dharma. and how to follow each of them, all those things. And then it also has details about the various festivals we can do, like Holi and other festivals that that have cultural significance. And it also has information about the different um, cultural activities like dance that we see, Bharatanatyam, and also these Puranas contain all the information that has a significant cultural information. And can anyone guess why that is? Why it is important?
Yeah, the importance is we need to pray the God and we need to be with them. We need to follow the proper process, how to maintain our life towards with the God.
Yes, that's
Uh,
correct. Go ahead.
That's think. I mean, just when we are doing so, when we're doing the puja, right, or with the festivals and all, there is a procedure. We need to clean the entire home with not a new clothes, maybe it's a washed clothes, and do the with the proper process point of view. So that will inject into our day-to-day life. So that will remind of us for every 2 weeks. Some festival come in once in a month or once in 3 weeks, and also it will remind us to take care very nicely. So that's why.
Very nice point. That's exactly the reason. So in the Vedas, you have to do rituals, right? And in the rituals, also the Vedas also have information about the different philosophies and all. But if you want to transmit this from one generation to another generation, it has to be very formal. There should be a spiritual master and there should be a disciple. The spiritual master should be qualified. The disciple should be very qualified. They should be very talented in the sense like they should be able to understand the information very easily and transmit without any distortion and all. So that is a big requirement. And with Kali Yuga, that not many people meet the requirement because everybody by birth is a Shudra, Kalo Shudra Sambhava, and they have to purify themselves. And in this age, even we see some of the learned people, like they give up to their ritual, their practices, and take to the wrong paths, which were supposed to be the examples of the society. And that's why the Puranas come into picture. The Puranas are, they imbibe these values into the culture itself, which means that we do the festivals, um, and that brings up an inherent that has the reason why we have to do that. Of course, when we are doing festivals, we have to ask why we have to do that. Then, when we ask that question, we'll be able to understand the significance behind it. Similarly, if you tell something as if I tell like a particular formula to someone and ask them to remember, they will not be able to remember. But if I tell it as a story or a theme or something, then they will be able to easily recollect at least 80% to 90% of it. And that is the reason. If we tell this, if we give the historical records of the people who followed the Vedas and their what they did and what benefit they got, then those stories will be transmitted. When I say story, people, we have to clearly understand that these Puranas are historical records. These happened. Maybe we think that no, I cannot see that it did not happen. No, and the reason is, like, for example, you see the age of Brahma, right? We are in the 51st day. Half life is, or and then in each of the Brahmas, one day there are 14 manvantaras, and within each manvantara there are like 1,000 yoga cycles. So you see how it is is everything is getting created, destroyed, creating, destroyed. And actually, we have different in each of the yoga cycle. There are four yugas, right, which are Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. And we might think that, okay, we have different avatars of Vishnu, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Vamana, like Narsimha, and then we have Parshurama, Rama, Krishna. And so if all these avatars came in, like many of the avatars came in Satya Yuga, then Rama and Treta Yuga, of course, Parshurama in both from Satya and Treta, and he's now still here. And Krishna and Balaram in the Dwapara Yuga, now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Kali Yuga. Why I don't see those artifacts in when I dig something? Of course, we see many of the artifacts from Dwapara Yuga, but why I don't see these? Because we have to clearly understand. That's the where Srimad Bhagavatam is very important. As we keep reading, we will understand that The avatars that are mentioned are from different yuga cycles, meaning in the life of Brahma, there are 14 manvantras. And the manvantras are so first Manu is Swayambhava Manu. He came from Brahma's forehead itself. The next mantra is Chakshusha, like he's also related. Then, like that, we are in the seventh Manu, who is Vivashwan or Vaivashvat Manu. So he is the father of the sun god. So what we can understand is these Narsimha Avatar did not happen in Vaivashvata Manu's period. It happened in Chakshusha Manu period, which is the second Manu, which means that it is almost, if 2 minus 7 is 5, 5 into 1000 is 5,000. So 5,000 yuga cycles before, which means that the earth went through so much creation destruction. The land was, and everything, you will not see those things. And that's why the only main things you would see is mainly from um, Dwapara Yuga, which are like during when you go under the sea in Dwapara Yuga, in Gujarat area, you can still see a lot of artifacts from there. But previous yugas, you will not see them because they went through, even those are also very much destroyed. You see only minor traces. But if you look at the historical records, there are gigantic cities that are established, and and all the glory is there. What else? So that is the clarity that comes when we look at Puranas, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the historical records of all those things. And what it will also do is, if we say, if the Vedas are ritualistic and they will be like giving order, there are Shastras, like they will say, you do this, and you do this, you'll get the benefit. If you don't do this, you will get this opposite result. And if something is told very harshly, yeah, we may take it, or if the rules or regulations are very strict, over time we feel like, especially if we don't have the fixed mind on the controlled mind, then we will not be able to follow them. But if we say that, hey, look at these examples of people who followed this life, and then they got liberation, then we will easily take that. So examples are very important. If even when we are learning things, if we are telling only theory, we'll not be able to grasp. But if we use some practical examples, then we'll be able to understand clearly. So that's why these Puranas have vast records of various examples of great kings, great people, great sages who uh, transformed their life. And there are also example of people who fell down. Like, for example, they try to uh, uh, like make progress. And of course, we might argue that how did it is possible, but these examples are also for us to take like we benefited from that. Like Bharata Maharaj, he was practicing taking the path of self-realization very well, and suddenly when he saw a deer give a birth to another baby deer and fled away in fear of tiger, he took care of the baby deer, and he's got so much attached. You might think that he left his family without any attachment to his wife and kids. How would he come attached to a deer? This is all for us as example, saying that, see, that is what it happens. We have to be constantly in focused in Krishna consciousness. We have to do continuously. And even Rishabhadeva is another example where he is a incarnation of the Supreme Lord himself. He left everybody, his great kingdom, the entire world, which is at the time, his wife, kids, everyone, and he uh, was wandering around in different places, and he was constantly meditating on the Supreme Lord only. Then the sages will ask the question: this Rishabhadeva he's an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Why does he have to keep on meditating? He's already established in the platform, Brahman platform, and why he has to do it is just the answer is, as an example, it's not that Rishabhadeva will get carried away by the mind, but he's showing that even Yadyad Acharya Shreshtas Tatta Devatara Vitarajana means Sayat Pramanam Kurte Lokas Tadanuvartat means whatever learned sages do, the common men follow. If at all Rishabhadeva would have, he doesn't need to do those things, but he would have said not followed, and people will think that, oh, I also need not follow. But the thing is, he was showing that however strong one's mind might be, if you miss following the principles, then there is immediately chance of Maya attacking us. So these are the great examples from Puranas that we can take. And other, it's called the fifth Veda. Some people might argue that, oh, you guys are following the Srimad Bhagavatam, but this many of the information that is in Srimad Bhagavatam, you can't find it in Vedas. Of course, that is the case. Even in Vedas, you will see the Rig Veda is mostly glorifying Agni Dev, Indra Dev, Surya Dev, or Varuna Dev, and only there is some glorification of the Supreme Lord, who from whom these devatas came, like using the Purusha Sukta or Gayatri Mantra, right? Then people might argue, then should we worship the demigods? Because Vedas is saying. So even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas are meant mainly for the Artha and Kama. I mean, if you say the Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, for us to gain some economic development and then to get some sense gratification. But sooner or later, we have to ask the question, why I have to be in this cycle always engulfed in this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadis, doing some work, doing some sense gratification? Is there a place where I can go where there is permanent happiness and I don't have to take birth again and again like that? Then the people will turn towards the other aspects of the Vedas, which is the Upanishads, which are philosophical texts, and the Puranas, which tell, like, by leading a life that is in Krishna consciousness, how we can get liberation very easily. So with that, I conclude. And one of the main processes is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We don't have to sit and read Vedas, but if you want to read, it takes at least 125 years. But in the Kali Yuga, we don't even live for maximum 100 years. So if something is given very easily, why don't we take the easier process and get out of this world? Why do we want to take the hard process? So the easiest process in this age is Harinama, Harinama, Harinamaiva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gataranyata. There is no other way of deliverance in this Kali Yuga other than chanting the holy name of the Lord, holy name of the Lord, and holy name of the Lord. So that's why this movement introduced by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very significant, and this is only going to last for 10,000 years. And even Prabhupada says, after this 10,000 periods or 10,000 years of golden period is complete in Kali Yuga, you will not even hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra because it got subsided. Kali will take back. It's just a provision given to us special souls that are born in this time, that we take hold of this Hare Krishna Mahamantra and get out as soon as possible. That's the one. Any questions before we close today's session? Is it clear?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Anand
Prabhu.
Prabhuji. Nice session, Prabhuji. So I have one question regarding the devastation. Who mentioned, like, Lord Narasimha appeared almost around 5,000 Yuga cycle.
Yuga cycles back, yeah, which is thousands, millions of years.
Yes, Prabhuji. And in between, there are many devastation happens, so many structural changes in the earth. But sometimes we believe, like, Lord Narasimha appeared some one place, Himachal somewhere. Similarly, Setubandh was done between India and Sri Lanka. That place also identified. So how about those places? Those changes, geographical changes, also happen during devastation, or the place where Lord appeared, that doesn't undergo any devastation any geographical changes during the devastation. So how we can relate that, probably we can.
That's a good question. So basically, if you look at other Puranas, there is also some descriptions about a Kakasur, or a demon, a cow demon, who did it very much like meditation, and he got a blessing to be able to live through these manvantras also. Means most of the people die within the manvantara. If you take one manvantara, you will have only one Indra, and after the next manvantara, there is a different Indra. So Indra also doesn't live for long. When we read that they got the Amrita, it is only for them to last during their lifetime. For example, if you have a chief minister or a prime minister, they are there in their position for 5 years. And if something happens during that, in the 5 year period, it will be chaos, right? So, and that, to avoid that chaos, they were given the elixir or the amruta, where they will stay without any problem for those entire period. So which means that even though the demons come and attack Indra now, nothing will happen to them. Their position will secure, their life is secure. But after the end of Manvantara, they have to die. But there are some people who have the desire to see through everything. So one of the demon is the Kakasur. He was telling his thing. He saw many manvantras come and go, many yuga cycles go and go. He saw Ramayana happen like 17 times or Mahabharata happen like 14 times. And each of the time, it's more or less the same. Dharma always wins, adharma always loses. But the actual details of the event are slightly different. Sometimes the order of killing is different. Sometimes the result is different. And sometimes maybe Ravana realizes his mistake and brings Sita back immediately. So all those things. Essentially, what we have to understand is the overall thing is more or less the same, which is even in the Treta Yuga that happens before, the story of Ramayana happened, but Puranas that they mentioned, when they give us examples or details very clearly, the fact we have to understand is if we don't see that fact exactly matching, that means that we should not reject that saying that this is not true. We have to understand that that came from a previous Manvantara. In this case, Narsimha, if we see Narsimha's appearance, if we go into details and if they say something that is not matching, we should not reject it. We have to understand where it is coming from, which timeline. It is coming from Chakshusha Manu, which will not be having this historical records thus far preserved until this time. So that is the essence. Means, yes, the Ramayana happened, and at the time maybe Ram himself came, or maybe sent his one of the energies of Swamsa or Vibhinamsa to no, Vibhinamsa is the living entities, but he could have sent an energy of himself to take care of the whole situation. And similarly, Krishna also says he doesn't come in every yuga, right? He comes only in one day of Brahma. So out of all the 1,000 yuga cycles, he comes only in one Dwapara yuga. Does it mean that in the other Dwapara yugas there is no avatars? No, it doesn't mean that. But Krishna himself doesn't come. He sends his energies. So that's why if you see some artifacts, it means that it happened, but it may not be the same person that exact avatara. It could be a different avatara, but with the same qualities like that. I hope that answered the question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, definitely. I mean, so incarnation, there is no question, Prabhuji. Like the geographical area, let's say we are someone is saying like this place where Lord Ram did so and so, or in this place where Lord Nrsimha appeared. So that place undergoes any geographical changes during the devastation or not, Prabhuji? So that was a little bit doubting.
It goes through because when the devastation happens, the whole earth will be filled up with water. There is no land to say, and that's where the Matsya Avatara comes, right? After one Manvantara is complete and the next one is starting, the earth is nothing but water. And then the fish comes, and then it gives the Saptarishis will come. They will start again repopulating this whole world. And during the time, what happened? All the things that are there were submerged underwater. Of course, there could be when everything is done, when the earth is formed again, like the land comes out again, there could be some artifacts coming out as like the vigrahas that you get Swayambhu, right, where they are appeared by themselves. So there is yes and no. They could undergo destruction, there could not. We cannot say anything. But the thing we have to understand is if the Lord really desires, he can create anything. So if even if there was no real artifact, suddenly a vigraha can come out from the stone, from the earth, that if a devotee really desires to worship the Lord in that form, which boggles science, but we have to take it as what we see from some examples that have happened.
Got it, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, sir.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, you mentioned Ramayana happened 17 times and Mahabharata happened 14 times. Can you elaborate like maybe 2 minutes, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, which is the same thing, Prabhuji. Like that Kakasur, he lived through the different Manvantras, and he saw these different avatars coming, going, and helping the living entities get out of this world. So in different manvantras, you have 4 cycles, right? We have 1,000 yuga cycles. That means that in each of he lived through 14 cycles, and he saw Ramayana 14 times happen for his pleasure. Similarly, Mahabharata he saw. So what is the question in that one, Prabhuji?
Question is like Prabhuji, like how can like Ramayana means only one Ramayana, like Sita and Ram, like that, whatever we know. Like how can we understand this Ramayana 17 times like happened?
Yeah,
That's what
same
I
thing.
question,
So
Prabhuji.
you have one yuga cycle, which is Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. After that, that cycle is over. Everything goes under destruction. And then the second yuga cycle starts. Again starts with Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. And then the second Treta Yuga happens. Again, the new living entities are taking into the body, right? From Mahavishnu's body or from the Garbhodaka ocean. And the Lord, why should he only give the mercy? He again will come during the Treta Yuga. Lord Ram will descend and deliver some of the living entities who really want to associate with him and take them back. Similarly, that yuga cycle is over. Another yuga cycle will happen. Again, Lord Ram will come. Like that is happening. And this particular yuga cycle where we have the Satya, Treta, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, we are so fortunate that this Dwapara Yuga, Krishna himself came. And he doesn't come like that for next 1,000 yuga cycles. And during the time when Mahabharata happens, it could be one of the energy of Krishna that is there helping the Pandavas overcome the Kauravas. Does it make sense, Prabhuji, or is that not clear?
Prabhuji, like is it mean like it's not like again Ravanasura born? It's not like killing every time. It's not like that, right, Prabhuji? Just like Rama is appearing again in these 14, 17 times, and like giving delivered like living entities. In that way, we can understand. Or every time, like the 17 times, Ravanasuras, like in different forms, they also appeared. Like I mean, like they also exist. Something like that, Prabhuji.
Yes. So the stories that we have from the Puranas where Ravana and Rama fought with each other, where in that particular one where we read is that Ravana is like a Jaya and Vijaya's incarnation. And since they are Jaya and Vijaya, that Ravana was so powerful. And that Ramayana that we read is so significant because of the formidability of Ravana. It's so difficult to beat him. And that's why Rama came and defeated. But the other Ramayanas means there's some ordinary other demonic person who has so much bad karma or bad so much demonic power. He would be doing the activities of a Ravana, and Rama would send one of his energies and he would be killing. So that there is no exact Ravana that is there, but it could be some other demonic person and another avatara that is killing them.
Got it, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, good question. Any other questions? Okay, if not, yeah, go ahead, Prabhuji.
You want to conclude, Prabhuji? You can conclude.
Okay, so for all the benefit of the devotees here and the benefit of all the entire world, we'll say the Nrsimha prayers. Ugram Veeram Mahavishnum Jwalantam Sarvato Mukham Narasimham Bhishanam Badram Mrityor Mrityam Namamyaham. Ugram Veeram Mahavishnum Jwalantam Sarvato Mukham Narasimham Bhishanam Badram Mrityor Mrityam Namamyaham. Ugram Veeram Mahavishnum Jwalantam Sarvato Mukham Narasimham Bhishanam Badram Mrityor Mrityam Namamyaham. So we offer respects to all the Vaishnava devotees who have given us this opportunity to render this service to Srimad Bhagavatam. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhobhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. We'll say Hare Krishna Mahamantra once and we'll close today's session. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you.
भगवान कृष्ण परमात्मा की जय. अमलपुराणम श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
For wonderful classes. So let's chant 3 times Haribol to His Grace Patitapavana Balaram Das Prabhu. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.
Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All those Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thanks.